Hello, and welcome back to Radio NIGP, where the theme for the month is New to Public Procurement, Start Here. We are thankful you are here, and how can we help? Listen to this month's show for some ways that NIGP can support you in your career path. During the past year, NIGP has rolled out some new support services for new and existing members. Stay tuned to hear about the new concierge service for the NIGP Pathways program. Another exciting segment will talk about the new membership program. Find out about how to use the NIGP website and technology resources to help you as you move on your path forward. We always have updates from the legal side of the house, so listen to hear about the Model Procurement Code, where a lot of what we do begins. Also, there will be a chapter website update, and make sure you tune in to hear how NIGP is offering support to the chapters on free websites. So stay tuned as we talk more about how to create your path in this fantastic profession. Welcome, and we are thankful you're here. We all here at Radio NIGP want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving.
Welcome to Hot Topics on Radio NIGP. My name is Kevin Yin. With me is my co-host, Don Botham. And we also have a special guest today, our good friend, Cheryl Mankey. Welcome, Cheryl. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I am a 20-year veteran public procurement professional with the State of Washington Department of Enterprise Services. I currently serve as their Procurement Innovation Manager, implementing all the exciting new things that the procurement industry needs to stay relevant and current, like environmental, DEI, technology, etc. And I'm also a longtime friend and member of NIGP. I've been a leader in the NIGP environment for over a decade, recently serving on the governing board, former chair of the member council, 3-time Washington State chapter president, etc. And now I'm excited to be launching a new NIGP business line.
That's great. And would you share a brief overview of the program that we're going to be talking about today, which is the concierge program?
Thank you, Kevin. I would love to share about the new concierge program. So we created this program as a way to help NIGP members, both individuals and organizations, determine the best progressive steps forward, helping them identify how to reach their long-term goals and growth opportunities, working closely with them to help identify and recommend that best path forward into the future. So through active listening and thoughtful conversations, concierge leaders will learn about members in their current roles, their responsibilities, their career aspirations. We'll hear about their education, their certifications, their background, and their work and life experiences. We'll look at their existing and desired skills that will help them with their success. And then based on that information and conversations with them, we will help them navigate NIGP pathways. We'll offer them customized training recommendations, help them establish bigger picture, longer term career goals, not just what's right in front of them, and then mentor them as they move forward in their professional journey.
Wow. Sounds fantastic. I can see how somebody just entering the profession would really be able to benefit from this. But what about somebody that's more of a seasoned professional that's been in for 5, 10, 15 years? Can they utilize this also?
For sure. So it is intended to serve both of those groups. The newer professionals absolutely may need guidance to navigate the whole professional procurement landscape that they're entering. So we're definitely here to help them and help them understand pathways and NIGP resources and what a career path in procurement might look like because they're new to it. But it is really a common situation for seasoned procurement professionals to feel kind of stuck. They may not see a clear path ahead of them. Maybe they're at the top of their series, or supervisory roles are the only thing they see in front of them and they don't really want to supervise. Or maybe they just need to grow from practitioner into leadership. There's been a history of a challenge there where you might have the best practitioners who can lead procurements and manage contracts all day long. But how do we help them get those soft skills, those leadership skills to make that next leap into their path forward into the future? So this is definitely going to help both of those audiences.
Cool. How do I get started? How does somebody get started? What do they need to do?
They can simply reach out to us, to myself, to Todd, to Dawn, yourself, to Keith Glatz, to any of the concierge team, and we will help them by connecting them through a questionnaire and the pathway survey to get that foundational lay of the land first, and then we'll have conversations and then have those strategic recommendations and that unique, individualized, customized path forward designed for them, and then mentor them through that.
So, if how long does the initial discussion take?
The first discussion after completing the questionnaire should only be 30 minutes to an hour. It can happen on a lunch break if you need, after hours, or during the workday. One of the team members will talk with you. And then there will be follow-up conversations after we make the recommended path forward. And then we will walk them through what that looks like through additional 30 to 1 hour conversations.
Cheryl, is this like just a one-time thing where you set a plan in place, or does the team continue to work with the individual over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever the plan is?
Great question, Dawn. It is intended to be an ongoing conversation. We don't want to just set people up with that path, with the recommendations, and then wish them luck, right? We would like to stay by their side, act as mentors. It's much like the NIGP mentorship program, Leader's Edge. We would like to use that same approach where we are right there for them, by their side, cheering them on, and helping to coach and guide and mentor as they move forward, after they take those training classes, after they get certified, or as they prepare for certification, as they prepare for their next promotions. We will be there every step of the way and hope to hear success stories and check and adjust along the way if we need to.
Well, thank you again, Cheryl. So great to see you. I
Great
hope
to see
folks will take advantage of this valuable service. And thank you all for tuning in to this segment. And until next time, this is Radio NIGP.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Jenny Justiniano, coming from Seattle, Washington. And today's featured visionary leader is my good friend and colleague, Jody Jacoby. She's Director of Procurement for the Metropolitan Council in the Twin Cities at St. Paul, Minnesota. She's also the current chair for Member Council. Welcome to the show, Jody.
Thank you, Jenny. It's great to be here and to be on Radio NIGP. What a huge honor.
And to continue this month's edition, our focus is new to procurement. Start here. And so I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, and we'll get started on your thoughts as a vision leader. So please provide a brief description on how your agency is currently structured, and how has the past couple of years, how your agency have faced the challenges, but also celebrated victories in the office.
Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, the past couple of years have definitely been a challenge for all of us, but also an exciting opportunity to show up as thought leaders and create mission moments really with all of our work. My agency is considered a regional government in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and we have a authority in the 7-county area, which is comprised of 181 cities and townships. We're the provider of essential services, and we operate 5 very distinct and different business units, including a transit agency, wastewater services, contracted transit services, a community development department responsible for regional parks, planning, affordable housing, and then regional administration where procurement reports up through. We're a centralized procurement department represented in different units in procurement in specialty area, including purchasing, contracts, contract negotiations, the administration team, and the new contract management team. In the last few years, our agency, probably like yours, has had huge pivots to find solutions, really work to create those trusting relationships with our internal and external supplier partners, and then focusing on really showing up as a thought leader versus just a pure transactional perspective. And what we've learned again and again and again, that our staff are key. And over the last few years, we have restructured our organizational chart and really keep looking at what is the best team approach to help staff show up as thought leaders. And then with that, creating simple rules and looking at our relationships and outcomes, but also avoiding silos and in threading that intentional action in every procurement event. And we found that, again, staff are showing up as thought leaders in every role, working together better and differently. And we've even changed our language. Instead of, I don't know, reshifting to what could it be if I did know? And so just leveraging those relationships and creating a more systemized way of work has been really, really successful for our agency.
Well, thank you for that. That's inspiring. And I know that we've talked about part of this recording, really changes includes new staffing.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a seasoned professional, and again, we consider you a visionary in this field, what can you predict or advise to leadership that can help shape a successful future in public procurement?
Yeah, I can predict that we need to spend more time hiring the right staff and making sure those staff are in the right roles. And again, creating simple rules, but really spending time to train, to empower, and then help them grow, not only the person in the profession, but also the developing the professionalism in your department. And again, at our agency, training has been really key. Partnering with peers in your department and your customers, but also it's invaluable to get to know peers at your local chapter. And in Minnesota, the Minnesota chapter of NIGP just really has been an invaluable resource. It's really been a gold mine to work together and connect with others who may have done this before. And then also NIGP, the Institute, the opportunity to connect with others all around the world to find out about scopes, price fluctuations, what have been some best practices. And our big thing at our agency is to get involved. Don't wait. I've always heard the analogy that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is to plant that tree today. And we believe that with training. And that's one of the many things that the last 2 years with the pandemic and the civic unrest, that it's taught us that, again, hire the right people, create simple rules, and then help them keep their skills sharp. And then also to really listen to staff because they can and they do make a big difference.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. And really, as for the last minute that we have together, if I was a new hire, how do I bring my A game to the table each and every day in this virtual space?
Yeah, I would just show up with your passion as your authentic self, do your research, connect with your peers, both at your agency, get to know your customers, really work on understanding what you're buying, what you're doing that solicitation, and then again, come to the table with some different options so we can get that very important outcome for our customers. And that starts with each of us.
Well, thank you again for your time, Jody. And it was nice to see you again. And
likewise.
And we thank you for the listeners for listening today's Visionary Views, the November edition. Signing off. See you next month.
Thanks, Jenny.
Hi, and welcome to Tech Talk. This month's topic is focusing on you're new to procurement, so now what? So my question for you, Stephanie, is what would you tell somebody that was new to procurement or coming new into technology procurement about courses available or resources available to them that they could get through NIGP?
So, Christy, that's a great question. And it's so interesting. During the pandemic, I onboarded a new employee, and it was so imperative to me that that employee be able to get classes through NIGP. That's because to me, that is the standard, right? We all want to get our NIGP CPP, right? We want to be certified. And so I worked very hard with her, and after 2 years, I'm proud to say, like, she has been through so many pathways courses and done so much training that she is actually going to sit for her CPP. I'm very proud of her, and I'm very proud of that achievement.
Yeah.
She's also very much into technology. And so I feel like NIGP has actually a great technology base of classes. And of course, you know that you've assisted in writing them. So I would say that, again, if you're going to onboard a new employee or if you're new to procurement, of course, any of the pathways competency modules is going to be helpful. If you're new to technology, certainly you want to take the certification, the specialization certifications that NIGP offers through their courses, technology procurement, cloud procurement, technology management. And I know there are some on-demand classes that you have some familiarity with as well, Christy.
Right. So if you don't want to take one of the specialization courses and you just need a kind of brief class that's kind of gives you kind of the lingo that we speak in technology, there is one that's there are actually 2 courses that are part of the pre-work for our Foundations of Technology Procurement specialization. One of them is one that's nothing but the language or the verbiage that we use. The other one is negotiating technology agreements. I believe there's another one. Oh, yeah. Managing remote employees. That's another great resource. Something else that might be valuable to people that are new to technology procurement or branching into it is the 4-piece global best practice on technology procurement. Each one, the first one's kind of an overview of the different technology procurements. One's on software, one's on hardware, and then the other's on services and software and maintenance. So it kind of gives you a good brief, and that's actually kind of the core part of our foundational course that we built, because that's what we build our solicitations around, are those best practices. So those are the other things I think are great and available to you that are free, that you can actually get to from the NIGP website that would help you with technology procurements.
So I think too, Christy, that another thing that might be super helpful if you're getting if not only are you coming into procurement, but you're getting into kind of a niche part of procurement. And when I say niche, I mean like technology is kind of a niche procurement, and construction is kind of a niche procurement, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're getting into something that has a very kind of specialized niche, and things are changing in that environment. I know, it's probably been 20 years since I handled a construction contract, and I know that the knowledge that I have does not address like construction manager at risk. And, like my data is up to design build, and that's where it pretty much ends. So it's wonderful to have somebody to create a network of people that you can talk to. And I think NIGP has a website that offers that community of people that you can ask questions to, and also a mentorship program.
Right. The mentorship and then the insight message boards for technology, or even just purchase issues, are great resources for technology. The last thing I want to talk about before we go for this month is getting to know the NIGP website is really important. And it just so happens there's a webinar coming up on December 19th. It's the meeting to the membership from the member council. And part of that webinar is going to be a walkthrough of the NIGP website to show you what resources are available and how to get to them. It's just another thing that's available to all our procurement professionals coming in and that are new to technology or to procurement. So I think that kind of wraps it up. What do you think?
I think so too. And I just want to say to anyone who is new to procurement, it's a fantastically fun field to be in. It's challenging, but it's so fun. And congratulations and welcome.
Welcome. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Hi, this is Kirk Buffington and Tara Acton, and we are Radio NIGP, and we are going to talk legally speaking today. Hi, Tara. How are you today?
I'm good, Kirk. I'm excited to join you in the legally speaking segment.
Great. We're glad to have you with us. So what do you want to ask me?
Well, I know that today we're planning to talk about enabling legislation and the Model Procurement Code. And so I looked up the dictionary of terms, and it defines enabling legislation as an enacted law that provides authority to an official or an entity. But for our newer procurement people, what exactly does that mean, Kirk?
That's a great question. And it's critical that new procurement folks understand what authority they have, and more importantly, what authority they do not have. And the enabling legislation or the resolution or whatever their agency has done to give them authority needs to be known by them. So they go to work, they've got enabling legislation that says, I have authority to $25,000 and I can issue purchase orders and sign contracts. That enabling legislation is what gives them the authority to take action on behalf of their agency. They are an agent for their agency. That is the whole that's the whole thing around the law of agency, is the enabling legislation. It's also important to know under the legislation what they can't do. And that's part of knowing that so they don't get in trouble. Does that help?
Yeah, I think it does. I've always kind of understood it as, depending on what agency you work for, you're enabling legislation. It might be a charter, it might be a code, it might be actual like state or regional legislation.
State law, statute.
Yes.
Absolutely. Regulations. It can come in all sorts of different forms.
Okay.
Where I work,
so then the question, sorry. I think the question is, when we're trying to be creative or approach things differently, what do we do if legislation or whatever that enabling legislation is doesn't specifically address the thing we want to do? What does that mean for a procurement agent?
Until it addresses the specific thing they may want to do, they can't do it. What they need to do is prepare the argument as to why the legislation should change, and then present that to the management, who can then take it to the elected officials. If it's in procurement, if it's in a code, that normally takes public hearings. If it's just a policy, that may be able to be done by the agency director, the agency manager, that kind of thing. So it really depends on how it's been codified as to how they have to change it.
And that makes sense. So that's probably one of the key differences between public procurement and private procurement, in that in private procurement,
Absolutely.
As long as it's not illegal, you're okay.
That's pretty much. I did private purchasing for a subsidiary of Walmart Corporation for 8 years. And we kind of did what we needed to do to get the product at the lowest cost.
Okay. So I guess that kind of leads into the next area that we might need to be talking about. And some of our enabling legislation exists in a like procurement code. And I think that kind of leads us into the model procurement code. what can you share about what a model procurement code is, or what does that mean when somebody says that, especially for a new procurement person?
Absolutely. The Model Procurement Code was enacted by the American Bar Association in 2000. And it is just what it sounds like. And I will read to you right off of the American Bar Association's website as to how they describe the Model Procurement Code. The 2000 Model Procurement Code was adopted by the American Bar Association and is a clear and concise procurement process that can be tailored and adapted for state and local use to meet the needs of the community and its agencies that spend the public funds for construction, information technology, equipment, and other goods and services. The code is a best practice. And that's what we need to remember. It is a best practice, is how not only the attorneys, but how procurement professionals feel things should be done when it comes to spending city tax dollars, county tax dollars. What's really exciting about the Model Procurement Code is it is going to be I won't say rewritten, but it is being modified through a group of procurement professionals that are being brought together with the ABA to update it and to modify it. And we're really excited about that. There are multiple agencies across the country that have adopted portions of the Model Procurement Code. There's one agency of which I'm aware that's adopted the Model Procurement Code in whole, but most agencies adopt portions of it that work for them at the local level. And that's the great thing about it. It can be tailored to work at the local level. Does that help?
It does. How would someone, you already answered one of my questions, realizing that you're saying it was originally adopted in 2000. That was quite a long time ago.
Yes, it was.
But they are working on
Yes,
revisions, so that is exciting. As far as somebody that might be new to procurement, how would they know if their agency has adopted it, or if they've adopted it partially, or how is that usually addressed?
Well, there's obviously a couple of ways. Ask somebody, never be shy about asking the question. But I recommend anytime I onboard a new employee in procurement, is the very first thing they need to do is read our code. Now, what really impressed me when I would be interviewing applicants for a job in procurement, I was really impressed if they came in with, well, Kirk, I've looked at your code and this is what I'm seeing. Is this how you do things? So it's critical as a new procurement professional, read the code, then ask your questions, but don't go in and ask questions without reading the code first.
If we could sum this up in one great piece of advice, Kirk, for new or seasoned professionals, I would say read the code. I don't know how many times as a director, somebody comes to me with a question and I will say, have you looked at our code yet? What do you think we should do based on our code?
There you go. And I responded the same way. And Dave Nash will tell you. I would look at Dave and I go, well, what does the code say, Dave? So you've got to understand the code before you can really start working as a procurement professional.
I don't think I have anything to add to that.
Well, thank you. Well, this has been great, Tara. Thank you so much for joining us on Legally Speaking. And for all of you out there, this is Kirk Buffington and Tara Acton, and we are Radio NIGP.
Welcome to this month's chapter update segment. As someone new to public procurement, you're probably learning a lot about processes and procedures, but two key resources for your procurement toolbox are the NIGP website and your procurement network. The NIGP website provides members with information needed at the tips of your finger with just a few clicks. As we look at the website, you can see that if you're looking for career development or education, trying to find a local event, looking for best practices, need to look up a definition, or find a sample bid or RFP, this is your go-to resource. It's also the place to start building your professional network. have a question about an RFP or some process that you're doing in your office, head to the Insight online community where you can find thousands of discussions posted by your peers. Want to engage in a local network? Go to the Chapters tab on the website to find a chapter near you to join. As you look through this, you can find in the directory several chapters in your area or in surrounding areas. Can't find a local chapter? Many of them will allow you to join remotely, as we have fully embraced remote capabilities. The local chapters offer a direct link to NIGP courses and help you build a local network of peers who can help you advance your career, develop critical leadership skills, and create change that positively impacts your community. Just as NIGP supports you individually as a member, NIGP also supports your local chapters. Recently, NIGP started a new program to provide web hosting services for the chapters. Today, we have joining us from NIGP, Farishta Tuhani, Director of Marketing and Communications, and Ronnie Levine, Web Content Manager, who are both here to talk to us about the exciting new chapter websites that are being set up. NIGP has developed a new program that allows us to have our website set up through Club Express, and I will let them tell you all about this. So Farishta, Ronnie, do you want to talk to us about what you're doing?
Sure, I can kind of start by providing a brief overview of why we came up with this project and how it's been going so far. So several years ago, when I first joined NIGP, I made it a point for myself and everyone on my team to start attending Chapter Academy. We all know that chapters play a crucial role in the work that NIGP does at the national level. And so I wanted to make sure that we had a good understanding of how our relationship is going with our chapters and what's the value add that we're bringing to that relationship and what are opportunities for us to actually provide more value. One of the things that we heard pretty consistently in a lot of the discussions that we had was a lot of folks at the chapter level had issues with their websites. They either didn't know if they had the right solution in place, or maybe they struggled with training for new staff members, especially. So there were just a number of issues that came up. And then we kind of talked about that at the staff level, including with Rick and our other executive leaders, and embarked on this vision of what could we at the national level do to kind of alleviate some of these pain points that we had been hearing about. At the same time, Ronnie and I were working on the rebrand and the refresh of our national site, which went really well. Ronnie led that entire effort. And so we just thought after launching that site, could we do something similar for our chapters? And that's kind of what got us started on this initiative. And the more conversations we've had with chapters, the more we realized that there was definitely a need. We were very thankful to get partnership with Sourcewell, who gave us the funding to be able to fund this project. And so far, it's been going really well. I'll let Ronnie speak to some of the specifics of the project. We now have 6 websites up and running. And so I can let her speak to how that's been going and what the feedback has been from those chapters and others who are on board.
Thank you, Farishta. So what I can say is that we are very excited to work with the chapters, and it's very much of a partnership. So I am kind of the face of the project, and chapters will work with me to implement their site. I do want to stress that it is generally an easy process, and it can take as long as you need, or it can happen rather quickly if you need. So if you're looking for 6 to 8 weeks, for instance, can really be that time frame if that's something that you're looking for. I work hand in hand with the chapters and the Club Express implementation manager, and we get you to that point of launch. And so far, I have only heard great things from all those chapters that we have been working with thus far. So please reach out to me if you are interested. I can send you all of the information in terms of how to get started.
So of course it has, a little bit of a uniform look. So it's easily identifiable that we are an NIGP chapter. But then we can have our own content, but then you also push content to it as well, Ronnie, isn't that correct?
Absolutely. So there are definitely listening to some of the issues that we had heard from chapters in terms of some of perhaps the pain points, pushing out information about NIGP goings-ons, whether it's events or courses, or having the flexibility to edit content on their own without having to reach out to the vendor in order to do so. These sites provide complete flexibility. The chapter can edit any of the content that they wish on the site. You are correct. We do have a standard template that is applied to all the sites, but that provides a more uniform look, which we have heard has only been a true advantage to the chapters. And then, yes, we provide some of the content so that the chapter doesn't have the responsibility of having to go to NIGP's website to gather the information. We provide that for the chapter on the site. So we are trying to address the fact that chapter leaders are just volunteers and they have limited time, and how can we help you to do your work a little easier and a little quicker. And that's what that's really about.
So we've got a standard onboarding for any chapter who is interested. If this is something that you are currently thinking about, you need to discuss it with your team, please reach out to either myself or Ronnie Levine. We will schedule a meeting where we can go into more depth of what this solution is, how it benefits you, more of the ins and outs. And then if you're interested in participating in this program, we are absolutely encouraging all of our chapters. My vision is that we have 100% of our chapters using this solution within the next 2 years. And so if you guys are interested, there's really not any cons to it from the chapter perspective. So just please reach out and we're happy to discuss more about this project.
Excellent. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you sharing this information with us. This is a great new benefit for our chapters, and we really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Way to Grow, an NIGP mentorship moment. I'm happy to report that NIGP, after some very hard work on the part of the NIGP Mentorship Committee and staff, recently released a new mentorship platform that's called Together. The Together online platform is currently housed on the NIGP website, and it provides those public procurement professionals interested in being a part of the NIGP mentorship program to take advantage of benefits from online registration to skills matching of mentees and mentors, and the ability for mentees to choose mentors. Together supports the full mentorship engagement as well, from start to finish. Today, I've invited my own mentee, Gina Klug, to join me to discuss some of the attributes of the new Together platform. Hello, Gina. Welcome to Way to Grow.
Hi, Keith. Thanks for having me.
Gina, we've been using the Together platform now since the very beginning of our mentor-mentee partnership. And I have to say that the application has certainly helped us to streamline the engagement. What would you say about that? Would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. I really liked how we were able to choose the areas we were looking to work on. And that's how you and I were able to match. So there was a whole list of possible mentors, and I was able to see who I matched the most skills with and who was in the same time zone as me. And in that way, we were able to match. And thus far, the whole experience is super organized. And for that reason, I think it's been much more impactful than I even imagined.
I have have to agree with you on that. So why don't we take this opportunity to take a quick look at the Together platform. This is what the actual mentorship app looks like. This is for my mentee, Gina Klug. She's provided us with permission to use her picture and information. And what you see here is the pairing activity between the mentee and the mentor. In the Together app, the mentee actually gets to request a mentor, and a mentor can accept up to 3 mentees during a period. And this particular screen provides some very interesting information about our mentorship agreement, and also provides us with the final assessment that we use at the end of the mentorship agreement. The mentorship agreement is what we used to call the mentorship charter, and it shows us that we are agreeing to a number of items. This is the mentorship agreement, and on the mentorship agreement, it shows what Gina's skills and goals and plans are as she provided the information when she filled out her form originally. It shows her skills, and it shows methodology that we can use to assess the goals. Feedback is a very important part of the Together app. It also, in Gina's pairing information, shows us scheduling a time. We've decided to meet every other Friday at 9:30 a.m. and we've decided to meet via video conference. And so Gina prepared this information up front, and she submitted it, and then I signed off on it. So we have both agreed to the mentorship agreement, our charter. Once we're in the program, we begin to receive emails from the Together app. And this allows us to plan our next sessions. This particular link allows me to edit my agenda with Gina, and the agenda is set by the Together app and provides us with a lot of educational opportunities to look at. Provides a schedule for you. You just simply click through the schedule, and the system, the app, actually creates a Teams meeting for you and your mentee, which is a pretty convenient process. You don't have to go through and schedule separate meetings on your own. The app will do it for you. Here's a picture of the email that then is part of the actual Teams invitation. And if you can see there, it says a key to schedule a mentoring session, and it allows you to view the agenda for that. And here's the agenda. Agenda for session 3. The subject is solve a particular situation with an objective to building an action plan to track progress and provide you with some scenarios you can look at. Could you help me with something? And what's very nice about the Together app is it provides you with some information that you can read as resources prior to your session. Here's an article about the difference between mentorship and coaching. I've also seen TED Talks that are included in the beginning agenda items that can provide both of you with very interesting information and act as a great opportunity to challenge your discussions. Provide you what to do during your session. Here's a situation-based exercise, a practice role play. And after the session, some reflecting questions. You can review not only the material, but how did the session itself go? And gives you the opportunity to provide session feedback, which is probably the most important part of this entire agenda document. And so that, in essence, is what the app looks like. Wow, that really is one powerful platform. I really like how it has kept both of us organized and on point since the very beginning of the engagement. But Gina, what would you say has been your favorite benefit from working with together?
I really like that before each session, we have an agenda sent to us, and it says, get ready for your session with Keith. And there's some reading included, and often an article or a video. Sometimes there are TED Talks to watch, so that when you and I have our meeting, the first thing we can start off is, what did you think of the article? What did you think of the video? And from that, everything is very natural. We're just able to sort of translate that into the things that I want to ask you about without having a prepared list and just firing off questions like I might do for my actual boss at work.
I agree. This has definitely been an enlightening experience working with together. And the thing I really like is it helped to remove a lot of the natural awkwardness that occurs when a mentor and mentee first start to work together. Would you say that together has improved the quality of our discussions and the ultimate results?
Of course. So there is such an organized plan. You know how many sessions you're going to have and a topic for every session. So I can look forward and see, what should I focus on in this session? Because 2 sessions from now, we're going to be looking at something different. So it's completely thought out for you. We're following the process together without guessing at, how it could work. I feel like the people that made this are experts on mentorship, and they're teaching us how to do it.
Well, together is keeping us together, I have to admit, and that's great, Gina. So I want to thank you today for taking the time to chat with me on Way to Grow. And for those of you in our audience, you can learn more about the NIGP Together platform and other information about the mentorship program by going to the NIGP mentorship site at www.nigp.org/events/mentorship. So this is Keith Blatt speaking, and hoping that you'll join me soon here on Radio NIGP for our next segment of Way to Go, and reminding you that this is Radio NIGP.
Hi, Kirk Buffington with Radio NIGP here, and today we are talking to Anna Spindler. Anna is the Vice President of Procurement at Western Governors University. And Western Governors University was able to submit and be awarded the Agency Advancement Award for 2022 from NIGP for a very progressive, very innovative application. And what really intrigued me when I read the application was the use and the adoption of socialization in the procurement process. So Anna, I would love for you to talk a little bit about how you got there and what this has done for the procurement at Western Governors University.
Great. Thank you, Kirk, and thank you, NIGP, first of all, for the award. We were very pleased to receive that, and we worked really hard to make sure that we could be considered for that award this year. So I came to WGU about 3 years ago, and when I came in, I realized that the procurement function was something people had no idea about. And we have about 7,000 employees. We are 100% online university, so it's very difficult to build rapport and see people in the hallways because everybody's working from home. I also joined in February 2020, so it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and that made it especially difficult to, again, meet not only my peers, but to also represent the procurement function in different forums, because we weren't doing that face-to-face anymore. One of the things I recognized really early on is that we needed to raise the awareness and sort of socialize the value of procurement and what procurement can bring to the university, or really to any organization for that matter. And so at the time, we were very understaffed. We only had 2 people that were actually doing the day-to-day procurement activities. We had a few other people that were supporting and purchasing, but there were really 2 people that were doing around 320 million in procurement annually. So, and they were sort of very misunderstood on what their role was at the university. Some people thought, you're just there to do my paperwork. Other people thought, I need these small things.
Typical.
Yes, but the big contracts are going to be signed by me because I'm at this level, etc. So I wanted to start introducing and showing them that we were there, and I needed a few ways. I had to tackle that in many different ways. One way was I had to get a handle first on what people wanted, and I wanted them just to tell me what you wanted. So I created this app. We called it the PEMS app, which stands for Procurement and Event Management System, because I also was managing events. So if you wanted to request anything, a contract for anything, or you wanted to host an event, you were to put in your request into this system that we built in-house in ServiceNow. Now, keep in mind, I was brand new. So I had just come in, and within the first 3 months, I was trying to stand up this application. And it was really to get a funnel, to have the requests be funneled through so we could then funnel them back out. It also helped me as a manager to be able to see workload and who was overloaded with what. And I started to be able to have different conversations with people once I saw what they put into the system. Sometimes it'd be very, very simple, basic information, like, I need a computer system that will do essay auto scoring, and that'd be it. Sometimes people would have very advanced requirements, but that was probably more on the rare side. After, I would say, 2 months, the tech team was able to really get the first version of it up. And we were the ones in procurement that were starting to do the inputs for people. So if we had a conversation with someone, we'd go ahead and put it in. It wasn't until about a year after it was in place that people have now started putting it in themselves. So after about 6 months, I partnered with the legal team, and we decided, wait a minute, let's make this a common intake form for other similar requests. So the legal team had their own intake that wasn't in ServiceNow and something else. The information security group, they had their own intake form. The accessibility team to look to see if systems were accessible and applications were accessible, they had their own intake. So we had this sort of joint project that started over and took about a year for that joint project to redefine and tweak basically what we had built originally in the PEMS app, so that we then became the funnel where they would come in, procurement person would review. Sometimes we would then press the button and push it straight to legal. Sometimes, depending on where we were in the procurement process, then we would go into the due diligence phase after we'd down selected one supplier and be able to then push the draft contracts or the solutions through to the accessibility team and the info security team as well. And we could do that all from the system. Now we have had, yep, thank you. I could talk forever about it.
Very passionate, I can tell.
Yes. And I just want to say that just with this application, it has really transformed the way that procurement is viewed, how we are now thought of earlier on in the process when we need to be thought of. And we're able to add more value to the university because we can see what's happening. We have metrics now. We can see the data on how long things are taking. We can see where they are in the process. And this wasn't something we had to buy off the shelf. This was something that thankfully our internal tech teams were able to stand up pretty quickly. So with that, yes, thank you.
That is just amazing. And I love the idea of socializing and how you've improved the perception of procurement. Am I correct? I believe you said earlier that you were able to take your oversight of managed spend from something like 7% and you're now somewhere around 96, 97% of the spend is coming through this PEM system.
Close. We were at 17%.
Okay.
Which is still
Super.
very, very, very low.
Very low. Absolutely.
Yes. And within 2 fiscal years, we got up to 79%. Our goal was 80% in 3 years, but we are way ahead of the game. And in the first 3 months of this fiscal year, we're already at 96% managed spend.
It's amazing success.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much, Anna, for sharing this PEMS application with Radio NIGP. And as listeners hear it, maybe that will motivate them and encourage them to address something in their own agency. But thank you so much for being with us, and we hope you have a great week, and good luck at WGU. This is Kirk Buffington. We are Radio NIGP.
Hello, friends. Starting here. Every race has a starting line, and we hope you found yourself challenged after today's broadcast to take your position at the line and get your next race started. It's natural that when we start something new or we're adapting to a change, we can feel a bit nervous and uncertain. This is true whether we're new to the profession or if we've been in this profession a while but we're starting a new process. Bless our hearts, we typically don't like to admit that we don't have all the answers. But friends, let me challenge you that no matter what stage of the race that you're in, don't be afraid to ask questions and keep asking questions each step along the way. Asking questions is not a sign of weakness, but rather a demonstrated source of strength. The more you know, the more you grow. Trust me, as I've given this message to you, I'm giving it to myself at the same time. We all have to continue our race of learning and developing, and we should be willing to help others do the same. So you might be asking yourself, who should I ask when I have a question? Well, we hope you've already gleaned a few ideas from today's broadcast. As a start, have a mentor and be a mentor. None of us have ever fully arrived and reached the point of knowing everything that there is to know about everything. Challenge yourself to build your network through mentorship and through outreach. Check out the many insight groups that are designed to be idea-sharing platforms, such as the Purchase Use Group. And of course, continue to watch Radio NIGP or listen to Radio NIGP for more tips on how to be the best procurement professional that you can be. Until next time, friends, don't grow weary in running your race. Find a partner to run alongside you and build your relay team so that you can pass that baton effectively, making sure that you're up to speed before you make that handoff. Keep your momentum, friends, and enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday.